My name's Andy Ferreira. I'm from Cork, so I'm probably the most local person here. I actually grew up not too, about 5 miles away from here. So between here and Ballymaloe, this is an area we spent a lot of time in kind of growing up. Dave and I are here today to basically talk to you about the Irish cocktail scene, the Irish bar scene, and also Ireland in general a little bit as well. We're a small little country, but it's fair to say we definitely try and punch above our weight. Nice bit of wind there, just as... Over to you, Zahi.
Nice to meet you all, and really welcome to Cork, to Castlemartyr. I'm Dave Mulligan. That was a lovely intro, Sim. You covered everything I was going to say. But delighted to be sharing the stage with Andy, who's a dear friend, but somebody who inspires me, inspires our bar, and inspires the whole Irish bar scene. Bar 1661 is what I'm most known for, Bawn, Potcheen. I've Little and Green, which is an RTD. And I have a bottle cocktail brand, craft cocktails as well. But yeah, we're going to talk to you just about who we are, what Ireland is, and what we hope it will become, yeah?
Usually when you have two people like this, you'd have it very, very organised, and we'd each have a little thing where we know what Dave's going to talk about. Then I'd know what I'm going to talk about, but that's probably not going to work that way today, realistically, because we both tend to waffle slightly. And it might just be a bit better if we don't orchestrate it too much. So, to crack on, this is an image of Dublin and of Ireland in general. Do you want to talk about this a little bit, David?
Yeah, just that stereotypical view of Ireland, you know, and what people come here for. I guess the tourist trail, we definitely labour on the same points, the same successes we've had for years. That is the Temple Bar, named after the place, Temple Bar, which is, I guess it's our Piccadilly Circus, our Oxford Street, whatever, you know. But these guys, they rely on stout whiskey and crack and Kjol and all the stuff we hero.
€16 pints.
16 euro pints. We are definitely getting there. They go up every hour as the night continues. But yeah, we feel it's a bit of a tourist trap for people who are visiting Ireland, you know, and people maybe get segued down there. You'll very rarely bump into a local in Temple Bar, and it's just wall-to-wall tourists. So the traditional view, obviously, with coming from the whiskey distilleries, you saw probably the best one in Ireland. I'll say that because, well, they brought us here, so we have to say that. No, honestly, fantastic distillery. Hope you all enjoyed that yesterday. But the country is littered with them, old and new, you know, some relics and some being brought back to life, which we'll talk about a bit later.
Sweet as. This is the Cliffs of Moher, one of our very iconic images that you'll see in Ireland. And again, we just felt it was important to really, I suppose, not just talk about the drinks industry in Ireland, but also the country as a whole. We'll talk about it a little bit later in more depth, but there is incredible beauty in Ireland, and we've obviously known the world over for our scenery, for our people, for our warmth, and hospitality is obviously a huge part of that. Now, for us to talk about, we want to talk a little bit about the kind of the future and what we would like to see happen in Ireland. But in order to do that, I think it's very important that we touch a little bit on the past as well, and just how far we have come. But there is these incredible places here. You're going to see, you know, obviously you've seen some of them over the last 24 hours. I know that you'll see more. But, you know, we do have a history. And I think it's important that we discuss it. But at the same time, we are probably a little bit guilty of over discussing our history. Certainly in Dublin, I know there's like walking tours where you can go. And I think every country has got a history. And it is very, very important that you acknowledge it. But at the same time, I think it's also important that we can move on from our history as well and realize that there is a lot more to it.
I think we definitely labour this, and it disappoints me in Dublin when I hear those walking tours, you know, and they're talking about 1916 and the Easter Rising, and I just don't think it really relates. While it is important to acknowledge the history, it doesn't actually relate to our generations. You know, we didn't suffer it. Definitely not the age group that's in this room. We need to move on past it. There's so many massive positives in Dublin. There's so many better tours you can do, street tours you can do. There's so much positive stuff to talk about that we really just want to put this, I mean, awful part of our history. And you heard the boos when, you know, born in London. You still get that. You still get that beef. And it's just, it doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent Andy. I don't think it represents any of the Irish people in this room. You know, we just want to put it behind us and move forward with the positives.
Yeah. And on that note, welcome to Paddy Whackery. Is that the term that was one of the terms that was coined?
Yeah.
Look, this is probably a preconception that people have globally about maybe the Irish drinking culture. It's not something that it's easy to get away from. You know, Patrick's Day is obviously our national day. It's a huge thing. Like, I lived in America for years, and like Paddy's Day in America is, you know, it's bigger than in Ireland. And there is this preconception of Ireland, and that we all get shit-faced constantly, and that we all dress up, and that we all a bunch of loopers. I don't know where it came from. I don't know. It's just,
As you're trying to get Andy out of your hotel room at 2 a.m. Yeah, Paddy's Day was started in America. We came a lot later to the cause. It is a great day. It's a great piss up. But definitely this stereotype of Ireland, as Andy said, it's not all getting pissed and drinking morning to night like you were yesterday, like you are today. Not the best example we're doing here. But you know what I mean. 2 days a year. 3.
Your birthday, 3.
3.
There has been a global cocktail renaissance, obviously, in the last kind of decade and a half now. In Ireland, we always seem to be, maybe it's because of our positioning so kind of on the Western Europe, it was maybe a bit more gradual, but there has definitely been a bit of a renaissance in the last decade. A lot of the restaurant scene probably kind of started it, as happens globally. So we do have we've got some incredible food and drinks, beverage places in the country, and just, I suppose, modern Ireland is really, really changing. And there's just a few things we'd like to talk about, We have 21 Michelin star restaurants, of which one is just around the corner here. 5 2-star restaurants, 2 Michelin star restaurants, sorry. Some incredible hotels. And I think globally we are at a really, really good level with what we can offer the people that are visiting Ireland. This wasn't always the case. A lot of these restaurants have come in the last decade. And several of them have come from people with different nationalities. Obviously, Ferreira have quite a strong French influence. There's a wonderful 2 Michelin star restaurant in Baltimore in Cork, which is sort of a fusion between Turkish and Irish cuisine. D-Day, he's doing really incredible things. And it's just wonderful to finally see this kind of new integration into different cultures really seeping into Irish culture. And it comes across in the cuisine and in the drinks that you can get here,
Our distilleries is a massive one. We grew up, Ireland invented whiskey. Jameson is such a powerhouse of a brand and bringing things like this together. But on the global stage, the successes Jameson has had, you can't ignore it. We're now the #1 imported whiskey in America, I believe. #1 whiskey in Ireland. But yeah, we definitely embrace our own, and we would have grown up with 2, then moving into 3 distilleries. We're actually up at 42 whiskey distilleries now, and that's not to mention all the gin and other spirits, curiosities and stuff that we hero in our bars. But yeah, phenomenal industry. Most of these, I think the oldest of the new distilleries might have a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, but give it another decade and we will have the length and breadth that we used to have. We used to be one of the best we used to be a larger whiskey making country than Scotland, but we nearly lost it, and glad to say it's coming back. And a perfect time to segue into your welcome drink. What better way to start any day than an Irish coffee, but globally famous, instantly recognizable cocktail. And yeah, is that my recipe? Probably not, Dave Taylor, probably yours. But yeah, definitely made with Jameson stout cask, But again, what better way to drink Irish whiskey than the Irish coffee?
Absolutely. Do you want one?
Yeah, sure.
Another one.
Yeah, why not?
This is Cask on the left and Dave's bar on the right.
We got loads of time, by the way, Andy. You can really ramble
waffle
about
on
Cask.
Go
Go for it.
So Cask opened in 2017. I had a small little consultancy company, and I was approached to potentially open a gin bar first. Then it was a wine bar, and I managed to persuade the owner that it needed to go down the cocktail route. The dream was to kind of essentially open a bar where we could bridge the gap between how restaurants operated and how bars operated. At the time in Ireland, you were probably more likely to see yuzu on a cocktail menu than you were to see, a rose sip or something like that. So we, from the get-go, we've done a seasonal cocktail menu approach. The rule is that we only use ingredients that grow in Ireland, so outside of base spirits and modifiers, obviously. And what that's done is that it's caused us to really, really look at the native ingredients that grow in Ireland. And one of the wonderful things about Ireland is that shit grows really, really well here. As the seasons change, the menu changes. And yeah, we do small menus. It's kind of 12, 13 drinks. And we'll just we'll take native ingredients, and then we will basically base our drinks around those. We don't let the fact that we can't use citrus or pineapples, or, that doesn't change the drinks, because there's so many incredible ingredients that grow in Ireland that we can use to make those drinks work. The dream was to obviously open a good bar that was successful. That happened a bit like Dave's. We kind of hit the ground running. We won, many, many awards in our first couple of years. One of the ones that we always dreamt of was to have a bit of international kind of recognition, which is something from a small country you really would like to hope. And 2 years ago, we were nominated as for Tales of the Cocktail for one of the best bars in Europe, which was amazing. And yeah, and it's still going. We're currently on menu 24, I think we launched last week. And it's a great way to work. I think working with nature and working with seasons, it's very invigorating. It's very challenging, but I think the pleasure you can get out of taking these ingredients and going and picking them yourselves and really getting your hands dirty, it's really wonderful. You know, it's very exciting. So 1661.
Yeah, Cask. Has everyone been to Cask? Most Irish have, definitely. Yeah, phenomenal bar and a huge inspiration for us in 1661. Dare I say, we need Cask. You know, you can't be out there on your own. People always think we're competition. People always say, "Oh,
We are.
you hate that Andy won that." I don't think we are.
No,
people in
We're
Cork.
competitive, we're not competition.
People in Cork think people in Dublin care about Cork. We don't. No, so we are bar 1661. I hope you've all been. Yeah, bar 1661. I guess we have this mission. We are staunchly Irish, fiercely independent. That's what we do now. Really, we're there to celebrate the other Irish spirit, which is Irish poaching, the native Irish spirit. White Irish spirit was there before whiskey. Dare I say in this room that whiskey came out of poaching and wouldn't be there without it. But I have my own brand. I've Bawn, and I was based in London when I started. Like most paddies, when they go abroad, they're like, "Rah, come on, Ireland." Yeah, I really struggled to sell. I had great successes in London on a small scale. Paris, Remy, thank you very much. But yeah, we were getting the spirit out there, and I really believe that a spirit with a rich history like poaching, I'm not here to talk about that, but it deserved its shot at the title. And while I was having these successes internationally, I couldn't give it away in Ireland. I really couldn't give it, and I used to come home every 4 to 6 weeks. Andy, to be fair, was always a supporter, but Bar 1661 was one of those things that was like, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. So started as a pop-up. We only serve poaching, no stout, no vodka, no gin, no whiskey. We just served poaching for 6 weeks. And off the back of that, the success of that pop-up, I realized I kind of had to move home, and we needed this flagship in Ireland for what we do. But yeah, I suppose the way Andy looks at ingredients, we're talking about that later. Sorry, I've jumped on topics, but
Okay.
he looks at very native Irish ingredients, whereas we're a bit more urban based. We don't have the beauty of Cork all around us, so we focus on Irish spirits, not just poaching, Irish whiskey, of course. We couldn't do it without the fantastic producers we have in the country that we need, and kind of inspire us to keep going. And they need bars like ours, and they need bars like Andy's. And then when you look at that powerhouse of a distillery again, you saw yesterday, you know, we couldn't accomplish what we were trying to accomplish and leave those big boys out of it. You know, they make the best whiskey on the island. That's fact. They have the biggest warehouses, stunning stuff. So we champion the small and the big at the same time. But yeah, 1661 is obviously the year they banned poaching, and I guess that's our main mission. Remain independent. We don't do big brand deals. We do none of that. But yeah, it's
and again, with that renaissance that we've had in the last decade, it's not just distilleries. There's also, you know, we now have, you know, we have Irish wines, we have Irish ports, we have all these small little. Killahor would be an example of a brand that we both use a lot in Cork. They make a wonderful apple ice wine. So there's all these wonderful modifiers and these incredible people doing really cool stuff. But if you don't put them on their menu, then realistically, they're not gonna move. So I think what we've both always done is, while championing only Irish spirits, it's also trying to use Irish modifiers as well, as much as we can, just trying to promote that. Promote those guys and help them.
Push those little small brands. I actually saw a whiskey list the other day in a pub that will remain nameless, but a great pub. And they had their amazing Middleton list. They had the other distillery up the north. They had that. And then they had independent Irish whiskies, and they had a selection of 10. And when I edited it, one of them was actually independent. The rest of them were multinationals, you know. But we really put our money where our mouth is. You know, those little guys don't have the big budgets or any of that.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to hero those. We're very passionate about that. Together, you know, we share that, yeah. Enough about us. On to some food.
It's something I've always felt quite passionate about. I think from working in bars and restaurants for so many years, there has been this thing where, you know, chefs kind of almost led the way with how we approach ingredients, how we really get down and I suppose research them and you know, using different techniques to get flavors across in your drinks. Again, this is something that 10 years ago in Ireland you wouldn't seen a huge amount of, but I think we really have evolved, and the drinks have evolved that are on offer on the island now. Yeah, just a few examples.
It's good how connected we all are as well. They were just random slides pulled off Michelin Star Restaurants Ireland Google. But I actually didn't notice until now. I know both those lads, actually. I know Hugh very well, and Variety Jones Keelan. I know them really well, you know. So the bar and the food scene are very interconnected, especially at that top level, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're in this fantastic Castle Martyr. Second time I've been down here. Andy comes every other week, apparently. He knows every single staff member, and every staff member knows him. Ashford Castle, Adair Manor, both winners of World's Best Hotel, depending on who's giving out the awards. Stunning, stunning locations. Didn't make this year's first top 50 hotels.
Correct.
But I guess we're just segueing later into the importance of that list and what does it actually matter when you're local. But stunning, stunning architecture, stunning castles and world beater hotels that we have all over the island. And then Ballymaloe, another place Andy is every other day. I'll let you talk about that one.
Yeah, Ballymaloe is it's sort of a culinary institution really in Ireland. It was started as a kind of almost a guest house, and the owner at the time, Myrtle Allen, they realized that there was no one was taught how to cook. So she basically started a really small little cookery school where the local farmers' daughters would almost come to her house. She would teach them stuff. After about a couple of months, they actually put an ad in the paper, kind of sussing out would anyone like to come for dinner. And that was the start of their restaurant. They won stars. They've won a huge amount of awards. But it's very much, they have a farm, so the ingredients that are grown on the farm is what you get there. And we've done a lot of work over the years with Jameson as well. There, we'll bring bartenders there. We'll do little trips around their walled garden, picking ingredients and using them in cocktails. So it's an incredible
you've
place.
jumped the wall a couple of times, haven't you? And actually stolen those ingredients, Andy, if I'm not wrong.
There's no evidence anywhere that I was ever there.
Moving on. The Irish challenges, guys, they're the same global. You know, some of this stuff no matter what market you're from, you're going to encounter this stuff. Now is the trickiest time ever coming out of COVID. Some say the golden age of hospitality might be past, but really I think we've just got to navigate this new world, you know. I'm hitting the wrong one there. Andy, this is you again.
Just a few examples of, I suppose, some traditional lovely Irish pubs. The Old Thatch here, I think that's the one quite close. Look, I think heritage pubs are, pubs that have a history and that have and almost a DNA. They're so deeply ingrained in our culture, and they're iconic. There's nowhere else on the world that does old school pubs like ours. Whether that's in Dublin or in Cork or in wherever you are in the country, you'll find these bars. But the reality is it's also a very challenging time for publicans. But I think we're both very, very passionate about this part of our pub history. It's vital. It can't. While we both run sort of semi kind of almost contemporary bars, I think this part of this pub culture, it's going to be here to stay. But it is really, really challenging at the moment.
We've lost 2,000 pubs since 2005. Thank you, Google, for that one.
Yeah.
And I think we're losing about 150 a year, and they're very much this style of pub, that postcard view of Ireland and that real traditional experience. They're the ones that are suffering, and they're suffering in that rural environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're independent bar operators. We both have our shareholders and partners, but we drive our own businesses. But Ireland is a really, really tough country to get going. I guess that's why we don't have loads of independent operators, why we don't have that many cocktail-focused venues, singular. Irish people definitely love to do craft beer, pizza, music, food. They do it all in one venue, and they are good at it, to be fair. But our licensing laws, which is what that dude is about, our licensing laws are from 1830. They're actually written in ye old English. They're old British laws. So England has changed theirs 100 times and modernized and moved with the times to make sense of them, whereas we still have these really archaic laws here. So there's a massive barrier to entry of, it'd be very hard for two bartenders to take a punt. The liquor licenses are going for about 60 grand, but you own that liquor license. It's an asset. You can sell it down the line, but you got to pay about the same amount of legal fees to put that in place, to do a change of usage. You got fire officers, you got all these different regulations, so you'll never see that money again. So straight off the bat, you're looking at over 100K just to get the license, Crazy laws. We've massive alcohol duty. I don't think there's anybody here from any country who can't get a bottle of Jameson cheaper there than we can here. We're the second highest duty rates in Europe. Insane. Very hard to pass down the line to the consumer. People say your cocktails are too expensive. Take the duty and the VAT off them, you're giving away about 40%, straight to the government. So a tricky market to work in. No idea why the Euro slide is there. Any idea? No.
There's a guy with a shopping trolley going up an arrow.
Thank you, Google.
He's got enough toilet paper to last a month, and he's got a watermelon, and he's got some wine. He's got milk. He's got milk.
He's a turkey as well.
He's got milk. He's got a turkey. Oh, that's a turkey.
Yeah, that's
fair.
a turkey. That's
yeah,
a turkey.
Inflation. Yeah, inflation. Yeah. Yeah, look, inflation's not just an Irish problem. Obviously, it's it's everywhere. We all know. We're all skint.
This is definitely the boring bit of the chat. We're trying to make light of it. But we obviously are beautifully geographically located. We got that gorgeous little teddy bear island. But if you look at where we are in the Eurozone, we're definitely blocked out by the UK. Not that that's a problem, but we have to share our island with them as well. It's good and bad from that being in the Eurozone. We're now, since Brexit, we're the only English speaking as a first language nation in Europe, which comes with a lot of pros, with multinationals wanting to come over here. We're also the closest country to America. Very easy to segue in. And we have the best of both worlds, as in somebody left the back door for trading wide open, and you can smuggle poaching or whatever you want over that border. It's pretty easy. But yeah, it has its massive benefits where we are, and we do get the best of both worlds. We're able to use the UK and the EU.
Yeah,
really, right?
And if you think about it, if you're a European bartender in the past that wanted to maybe go to a different country, an English-speaking country, improve your English, work somewhere, it's suddenly a lot easier to come to Ireland than it is to now go to the UK. It's a lot less complicated. So we do have an opportunity, and I think it's just about us trying to use it.
Yeah, agreed.
Irish successes.
There's you.
There's you. That's Ireland on the left. That's Denmark on the right.
The other way around, mate.
Is that all right? I'm dyslexic. No, I'm not. Yeah, look, it's just an example to show. Look, Ireland is actually booming. Economically, it's booming. There's a few reasons for that. We'll talk about them in a second. But just to bore you with some figures, we do have a really tasty GDP. Not that Denmark is skint or anything, but we're kind of kicking their asses. This might be part of the reason why we're doing well. There's a few little brands here who kind of like to come to Ireland. I can't imagine why they like Ireland. We
don't talk about it.
Maybe the whiskey. But it's just an example to show that the country has really economically grown in the last kind of decade or two, Yeah, again, look, I think in a lot of different industries, we really do bat above our average. Katie Taylor, world champions, #1 seeded rugby team in the world. Probably, maybe, no, I'm not even going to say it. We'll do all right in the World Cup. Horse racing, we knock them all for dead. So I think for a small country, we do really well, Again, some international products.
We've got obviously the amazing Jameson in the middle, Beamish, Murphy's. We look at companies like Pernod, who's here, that owns such a massive amount of the world's spirits. Their #1 performing brand is Jameson. We're all super, super proud of it. But like I said earlier, it's the #1 imported whiskey in the US, not to be ignored. We've got Irish Cream, also one of the biggest brands in the world. And then Stout is just the most recognizable drink out there. So for this tiny little nation, we have these powerhouse industries that are unique to Ireland, Irish whiskey being unique, not whiskey. But not to be ignored. And for a nation of 6.6 million with the north,
it's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. Yeah, it's very.
What we got here? Segueing back to our incredible pub culture. Most of these are in Davies City, to be fair. Again, we just felt it was really important just to drive this point home. These are incredible, iconic bars that will hopefully stand there forever.
Yeah, incredible bars. That's the Duke of York, by the way. That's in Belfast.
Oh, right, yeah.
Stag's Head. Who was in the Long Hall? Someone was telling me they were in the... Yes, Damien was in the Long Hall. Amazing pub. I always think you can tell how good a traditional Irish pub is by how clean their brasses are. If they haven't polished the windowsills, I'm not going in. But most of these guys would do that. Amazing upkeep. They've been there hundreds of years. And I want to say we're the best in the world at that really traditional pub model. And the city ones ain't struggling like the rural ones.
Yeah.
Where are we going, Andy?
We are going to...
We should have thought about that this morning, shouldn't we?
This little drink you have here, this is a little sort of 11 o'clock tippler. So it's some whiskey, it's some PX sherry, which we've infused in some smoked beetroot. And there's a little bit of hogweed distillate in there as well. Hogweed's a weed which kind of grows everywhere here. When it dries, you can dry the seeds and we distill them. Hope you enjoy it. It's not too boozy. It's meant to be nice and
Can I get one
nice
of those?
And accessible.
Oh, thanks, Anna.
Okay, we are going to
Modern bars.
Modern bars, yeah.
I spoke about the challenges, obviously getting a bar open, but we are starting to see a lot more of, I guess it's just our generation. We're probably at the top end of that scale now, but the younger generation getting their shot, moving away from that traditional style pub. It's nice to see this next generation coming through, and I guess we can see that around the world as well. Andy, I only moved back 5 years ago. Andy's the king of Irish cocktails. He definitely drove us forward as an industry. So I'm going to let him take the stage, even though most of those are my drinks on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've already kind of touched on it. 10 years ago, you would have seen, look, it was mojitos, it was Tom Collins's if you were lucky, but there was very, very little exciting cocktail culture in Ireland. You know, it was just kind of traditional basics. And I suppose most importantly, the consumer wasn't that pushed. They were happy to have their sex on the beaches and their you know, their caipirinhas if they were feeling crazy. But suddenly and I suppose part of what we wanted to do in Cask was just to kind of really, I suppose, try and elevate it. I do think not just in Cask and in Dave's bar, but finally now we're seeing it on a much more national scale, where you can go to Galway, you can go to Belfast, you can go anywhere, and you can get really, really good drinks. The previous slide, like I think it's if we just go back 1 second, like a lot of these bars, does it go back? Yeah, like 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have seen these bars because there was essentially large bar groups who were hoovering up everything. That's the way it was. And only in the last kind of 6 or 7 years, you're now seeing bars like, you know, Impala and Cork. There's loads of them. They're all around the country, which are finally independent-owned bars run by, you know, young operators, not just super wealthy businessmen who want to have a little toy. These are bars where they have passionate staff. And you can go to these bars and you can get really good drinks. You know, you can get amazing craft beer selections and you can get really, really good cocktails. So we are finally kicking on. Look, everyone travels as well. I suppose the consumer started to travel more. You know, you go to New York, you go to London, which is obviously just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And you're tasting drinks which are really, really high standard. And you want to come back to your local bars in Cork and Dublin and Galway, wherever. And you expect the same, you know. So I think we're finally starting to deliver that. We need to deliver more. That's for sure. But we really have come a long way in the last kind of 6 or 7 or 8 years, really. You know, there's no doubt about it.
Does anyone know that there's 80 million Irish around the world? We're obviously a massive country for emigration. I think in the US we're like 35 million claim Irish heritage. But yeah, we've 80 million around the world for a nation of 6 million. That's pretty impressive. But we have this amazing brand, which is our Irish pub, you know, and our Irish culture. I think every Irish bartender's dreamed of an Irish bar in the sun, but you can pop them anywhere, you know. Hazel and Apple, obviously, Sean Muldoon's new one coming. Sun Tavern, not an Irish bar, but East London, I hope most people know it. Bartender's Day Off Bar. Casements in San Francisco there, top right, you know. They have a sign outside saying Irish pub, and they said their biggest complaint is from people coming in the door going, this isn't an Irish pub. And Gillian, who owns it, is like, well, I'm Irish, and it's my pub. So it is an Irish pub, you know. Dead Rabbit, we'll go back to them. You know, what a phenomenal success. What a amazing powerhouse of a bar, of a brand, everything. And created the brandification. I love that word. Throw it in every talk. Of bars. And then this one, Cure, Cure in Singapore, which is a Michelin star restaurant doing Irish food abroad, which was phenomenal to find, amazing experience. But you just have this amazing, you know, because of the ingredients, because of the drinking culture, because of the whiskies and everything that comes with it, it's very easy to travel with this global brand, you know, selling not just more than whiskey, yeah?
Yeah. Again, there's a bog rosemary, which we've never used in our lives. And I actually only found out what it was last night when I checked it on my phone. But the slide was there. There's Dave's baby there in the top right corner. His other baby.
My other baby,
yeah.
So we're talking about the difference between our own bars. I think me and Andy, we have the exact same goal, and that is, through our bars, that is. Don't know about his life, but we're trying to promote modern Ireland. We're trying to promote the ingredients of Ireland. We're basically the same thing. We just look at it completely different. So Andy looks at those raw ingredients and those foraged ingredients and what Ireland has native. Whereas again, we have talked about this.
Yeah.
I look at the spirits. I'm just dragging this out because my own brand is up there and I snuck it in without Tony noticing. So that's my bond. We're there to celebrate Irish poaching, celebrate Irish whiskey. And again, we couldn't do it without the amazing producers. Andy, this is you, man.
Oh, I flipped on. Yeah, I mean, look, another big part of Irish culture is obviously the music that we have here. I don't know who any of these guys are. I'm married with 2 children. I'm in my mid-40s. I don't know. I think that might be Kneecap. Is that Kneecap, Oisin? Yeah, I know Kneecap. Kojak. Yeah, thanks, Tosh. Yeah. So look, I suppose, again, this is just another example of us progressing, you know, as a country. It's not just about U2 and that old school kind of, you know, Irish rock and roll. We really have evolved. Ireland has evolved. It's so multicultural now compared to what it was 10 years ago. Like, our kids are growing up in a very, very different Ireland to the world that we grew up in, where, you know, you wouldn't see a black person from one year to the next. You know, suddenly we have this incredible mix of cultures and it's wonderful, genuinely, you know. And I think it's coming across in the food and in the drinks as well, and just in culture in general, but definitely in music. The Irish music scene is really rocking, you know.
Start local, think global. I think we were trying to nutshell what are we talking about, because I thought we'd be on a sofa and it'd be a bit more between two ferns, but here we are, nutshelling our chat. Again, back to what we both do, you know, and that promoting modern Ireland. You can travel with this brand, all that stuff we've said. But in order to kind of get on that global stage, I won Bar of the Year in Ireland. I was very proud of that. He's won it fucking 3 times, which is incredible, because that's not just the top 50 world. We're just touching on that slide because, you know, that's quite one-dimensional. But Cask won it twice. We won it once. And then Andy won it with Paladar, which is just such a testament to you and your team and everyone involved. Like a South American-style bar winning Ireland's Bar of the Year. It shows that the country is ready to change. But rather than focusing on this world, we really want to focus at home and building our community, you know, and working together to try get to that global stage. Yeah.
I think if you are a small country in such a massive global industry, Cork is 110,000 people. You know, it's essentially a big village, you know. Dublin's a bit larger. Obviously, it's a capital city. You're going to have more traffic going through it. But it is still very challenging. And I suppose we've talked quite a bit in the past about trying to have this almost like a 3-city approach, because, you know, you take in Belfast as well, and hopefully Galway soon as well. You know, we want to be able to have it that you can, if we're bringing a really big bar over to Ireland, that we can showcase the whole island. We can show them different cities. We can show them different bars. But I think it's really important that bars work together. I know in Dublin, they have, you know, quite a good community of the bar scene. I think in Cork, we try. I don't think it's great, if I'm being honest. I don't think it's great the community and the bars kind of working together. And I think it's something that we could definitely improve on.
I think we work together more than I do with any bar in Dublin, you know, being, not that it's rivalry, but yeah, we're just like-minded. We want to see each other do well, you know, so sharing that stage, literally, is something we've always tried to do and tried to push on with. I think when he did win that last Bar of the Year, we were the first bar up to congratulate you. You know, we all kind of stormed the stage.
And vice versa last year.
Exactly, yeah.
You were at the table next to me, though, to be fair. So.
This is Andy looking a lot younger, clearly back from a sunbed.
Oh.
And then, why have we got Jack up here? I think it's worth mentioning, if you do want to get on this global stage, you just get yourself a Jack McGarry. Easy done, you know. Why we have him up here? We have him up here to say, this lad, more than Andy, more than myself, he fucking inspired me. He's a lot younger than me, but I've watched his whole career with like a magnifying glass, you know. For him to put Ireland on that global stage, for the Dead Rabbit with Sean to put Ireland on that global stage, suddenly there was all eyes on us. I think COVID really broke what was happening in the bar community, not just here, I see it globally, you know, but we're looking for that next generation of bartender, next generation of hospitality industry person to come through, and we hope there's another Jack McGarry coming, yeah?
Oh, there he is!
Andy, the clock just went 0.
Oh, no!
We're down to us. No, it's a good thing for everyone.
We've been the Dave and Andy show.
I want to say a massive thank you to Tony for putting this whole thing together, bringing you all in from abroad, and also dragging these two old boys through the mud.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks a million for listening. Yeah. Thanks. Enjoy your day. Nice and Andy. You want a curtsy or? Thanks, Tim.